Hello, welcome to the Superhero Hub. I'm Sam,
I'm Matt.
and today we're going to be reviewing.
The Flash.
This is a review for the latest episode of Indeed, The Flash. This episode, Attack on Gorilla City. I know, it's like one of them, like, it reminds me of, the title reminds me of, like, a real old, like, 1950s monster film, like, it came from the Blue Lagoon or whatever, so this episode was a strong one, and we'll tell you why. So basically, the last episode you had Jesse Quick hopping through a portal, and she's like, "Oh, my pops has been kidnapped." On the way to Gorilla City, so it kind of explains it a little more into it that they got a message, a kind of super complex mathematical whatever lexicon or something like that, and when they solved it was an invitation for Harrison Wells to come to Gorilla City. So he goes there and ends up vanishing, and then it's like he doesn't report in for a couple of days, so Jesse Quick's like, oh no, something must have gone wrong. So she comes to Earth 1 and she's like, oh, my dad's been kidnapped, I need help. So she's this was a funny bit for me, this was a funny moment, because she's talking to the gang and she's saying how he's been kidnapped, and everyone's like, oh, that's terrible, we'll help you get him back. And then HR walks into the room and she's like, oh, Dad, and she runs up and hugs him and that, and I'm standing there thinking, well, why? That's obviously not your dad, you know what I mean? Purely on the fact that, like, she stood there, she's explained her story, all of them are like, oh, we'll go help get him back. And then it's like, you'd think if that was her dad, they'd be like, oh, don't worry, he ain't been kidnapped, he's just in the back room, you know what I mean? He'll be in a minute. So, so I was just like, what is that all about? You know what I mean? They're like, oh my god, that's terrible. And then he walks in, she's like, Dad, and then he's like, oh, I'm not actually. And she's like, all surprised. It's like, you don't think that you're going to come through the portal, say my dad's been kidnapped, and they'll be like, oh, don't worry, he's here. You know what I mean? Wrap it up straight away. Not like, oh, you know what I mean? So that really confused me and kind of made me laugh. So
Plus, they've already met. Do
have
you
they?
notice it? Yeah.
Oh. See, I was kind of debating that. It was all very weird. I don't really get it. You know what I mean? So they're kind of split into two teams. Bazza, Killer Frost, Cisco, and Julian go off to Earth 2 to investigate Gorilla City, and Wallace and Jesse are on Earth 1 doing stuff. Now, I'm going to come out and say it, and I'm not even going to feel bad about saying it. Wallace didn't annoy me or bother me as much as he normally does in episodes. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was a bit batty because there was like a robbery, so they speed off there, him and Quick, and like he stops them. And then he's all like bowing to the public, like there's about, oh yeah, don't worry, it's the Kid Flash, I got this under control, thank you, bowing. And he's bowing like there's about 1,000 people like a foot in front of him, but he's like bowing down and there's like two people like over there somewhere. So I was just like, what's he doing in that? I would have had a face on as well if I was Jesse Quick. I'd just be like, what are you doing, mate? He's like, there's only like 3 people about. Why are you bowing for like it's a crowd of thousands of people? Now, obviously, their beef is that she's sweating off him, she likes him, he likes her, and she's kind of a little kind of not so hot on him now because he's got powers, and she's under the impression that the powers comes first, and that's all that's important to him, and she ain't. Now, see, this was a good one, because instead of dragging it out for episodes, even though it's only going to be a 2-episode thing, so she'll be around for, instead of dragging it out for the 2 episodes and never resolving it and having to wait till she pops up next time, they actually get the job done. There's a couple boring bits about their feelings and stuff like that, and like, where she was like, "Oh, when I saw you use your powers, it was like you were complete, scarily complete." And then he takes her hand and is like, "No,
Oh,
I'll only be complete when I've got you as well." And I was just like,
terrible. That's a terrible line. You're banging on about Supergirl last time we reviewed it, how corny that was. This topped it.
yeah, that
An
it.
awful line.
I'm not gonna leave. I'm not gonna lie. It was. I was just like, oh dear. So I'm not gonna lie. Like most of their kind of arc, I was sitting there thinking, don't kind of mess this up. So he wants her to stay on Earth One. She's debating it, and like. So eventually they end up they're kind of standing there. They're still kind of old lines, but then eventually Wallace just grabs her and gives her the smooch, and it's just like, it's all amazing. And another funny bit as well was like HR, like it was kind of egging them on and that, and then they kind of kissed. But we'll get onto that later actually, because that kind of I've got ahead of oneself. So in Gorilla City, they're captured, and then it's kind of like the gorillas are led by Solovar, and Gorilla Grodd's like, I don't know, just like he wants control.
Mhm.
So
It's unclear like what role Gorilla Grodd has in their society at this point. Like,
it
is he
can
second in command, or is he just some grunt? Who knows?
yeah, that's what I mean. Because Solovar was treating him like a bitch, and that he backhanded it and dropped him. I was like, nah, as if that just happened. Like my issue is that like Solovar kind of had the same powers as Grodd. Like he was like getting into people. That annoyed me because I was always thinking, right, everyone's like, there's Gorilla City with all the clever gorillas, but Grodd's the only one who actually has mind control powers. So the fact this guy had mind control powers kind of annoyed me. I was just like, oh, well, that's kind of disappointing because I thought, oh, it's
Mm.
only Grodd and stuff like that. So apparently, maybe they all can too, or maybe it's just literally an exception. So Grodd's kind of uh, got a plan like, oh, come in here, take Solovar out, I'll become the leader and I'll protect Central City. Um, which is kind of, oh, okay, whatever then. They're stuck in cages, their powers are dampened, so they're kind of screwed. So it's like, Barry's like, oh, okay, then I'll fight him, but I won't kill him because it's a fight to the death. So they end up fighting in this dirty great coliseum. This episode must have cost cash. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's where the money went.
Yeah. So, like, see, Barry. This was all very dumb as well. Like, so they're fighting. Barry's getting his ass kicked a little. So it's like, okay, I'll start running around the edge of the arena,
Mm-hmm.
and like they're like, oh yeah, do Thunderbolt, and it's like, I wasn't clear whether they could actually see from the cages what was going on, because they clearly couldn't, because there was no light reflecting on them. You know what I
Right.
mean? It was dark, like they were looking at a brick wall. So they were commentating like they could actually see what was happening, and I'm convinced that they couldn't. So
Also,
like,
first of all, like, I get he has to build up to the Thunderbolt thing, but
nah.
it was taking a bit long, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. He did about 5 or 6 laps of the thing, and it's like he could have done it in one. You know what I mean? He could have just stood still and done it. So I don't know why he longed it out really. Whether he was trying to do a super thunderbolt. You know what I mean?
also, like, how did he get for? Yeah, Solovar or whatever threw his spear in the ground, and it created some sort of thing that threw him off. I guess the shock of it,
A
but
dust
yeah,
cloud.
oh, no, exactly. This dude's run through a storm.
Yeah.
This dude run through like a tornado. The guy ran through like the whatever that thing was at the end of season 1, and that's what knocks him over.
I really think they thought, oh, we've got to kind of cut. That's why, do you know, right at the start when they had Harrison Wells talking as Grodd as opposed to having Grodd, and then you
Yeah,
had Grodd pop up at the end because they were thinking, oh, we can't.
budget.
It's going to cost too much to have him actually do the full conversation. So
Yeah,
let's get
same
people.
same with Solovar and Cisco. Yeah,
Yeah, let's get them to talk through them and then pop up for like 2 seconds at the end of the conversation,
and
just
on
so
that,
you know they're actually there.
Tom Cavanaugh's a good actor. I like him on the show. Like, he does all this stuff. The different Harrison Wells roles is funny, but the voice he was putting on
Yeah,
was
as
dreadful.
Grodd. Yeah, that was pretty terrible.
Yeah,
Is like, but I suppose that's all you can do, really. I mean,
just have him use his own voice.
nah, because it's like with General Eiling and that when he was doing it, um, it's basically like the gorilla controlling your mind. So the gorilla's talking how a gorilla would normally talk, how Grodder talk. But the problem is like with the human vocal cords, it
Yeah,
sounds
but
a little like
it's not the words he's saying. It's the inflection. It's like Tom Cavanagh trying
yeah.
to sound like Keith David or whatever. Like it's just no, speak like you.
I remember he kind of drew out like war. He was like talking normally, and then it's like he'll bring war, and then what one of them went on like that. And I was just thinking, all right, mate, calm down. That was a couple like that where he kind of talks, and then he drags out one word. Like I was just like, oh, steady on there. So I'm still convinced though that they couldn't Cisco, Killer Frost, and Julian couldn't actually see the fight from their cage. So yeah, Barry starts dashing around the arena, laps it about 6 times, pretty much does nothing. I'm waiting for the thunderbolt. It's like, Barry, come on now. Is it cheaper to show him running around the arena than anything else? So Solovar jumps in the air, slams his little stick into the ground, and it causes like a dust cloud, and that's enough for Barry to drop. So it the the fight didn't really make sense. Yeah, it looked
No.
cool because I mean the arena looked cool, Sullivan looked cool, but I mean the fight was just dumb. I think it was a matter of how we gonna end this real quick. So the way they end it is Barry vibrates his hand. He does a reverse flash. Where reverse flash vibrates his hand and puts it through
Hmm.
your chest. But in this case, doing a reverse flash is vibrating your hand, and instead of putting it through the chest, it kind of touches him and he flies backwards, knockout.
Yeah, the same.
It's like, what the hell?
If it's
So,
going to be that lame, why not just have him literally? Why not just have him do the Thunderbolt thing? Or if he ain't got the budget for that, just have him punch me in the face or something.
yeah, he should have just done. He should have had Soliver slapping him about, and then Barry doing like punching him from every angle and stuff like that. Finish, but then it would have been too much like the Grodd fight. I mean, but they could have thought of something. But it was pretty baggage. Um, how they kind of resolved the fight. So it turns out, shock horror, that like really it's not Solovar who wants to invade Earth One, but it's Grodd because he's still holding a grudge, a Grodd grudge. There, that's one for you. So yeah, it was all part of his plan. And then he tries to get Cisco to open a portal. So now Grodd's leader, by the way, Solovar's like a pum now because Barry beat him by fish slapping him with,
Hmm.
with his hand in the gut. So now Grodd's in control and is ready to raise Central City. He wants it to be ashened and burnt because he's angry. So so yeah, he tries to get Cisco to open a portal. Cisco's like no, so they let him stew, and then they think of a genius plan to freeze Barry so it looks like he's dead. And then like yeah, he's gone blue in like half hour. You know what I mean? Steady on. He still would have colour in his face. He wouldn't be an ice block. So they end up escaping. They get back to Earth One. Obviously Harrison Wells is kind of like still knockout, so they've got him in the bed, and then like that's the bit where we return back to Wally West and that like the other HRs convinced them to kind of get together and like been like, oh yeah, you should stay on this Earth, because that's what Jesse wants to do, like stay on Earth One to be with Wally. So like it's funny, like match makes them, they kiss and is like invite me to the wedding. And then he kind of looks at knocked out Harrison Wells and is like he's going to be so pissed. I thought, see that kind of made me think made me think he's coming off a bit sinister there. I think that line kind of threw me off a bit. I was like, is he just doing it for jokes and stuff like that? Because that's kind of sinister. I
No, it's
didn't,
not.
I didn't really know how to feel about it. There's a certain vibe I was getting that kind of threw me off there, and I think you find a lot of people will agree with me.
I don't think so. I think he was just saying he's going to be angry that his daughter's moving to a different Earth.
I think it's kind of yeah, but he probably is probably thinking, I'm gonna get Jessie over here, then I'll be her dad and stuff like that. She'll look at me like a dad, and then I'll be like important to someone. Because I think he kind of wants to be important to a lot of people. So whether he's doing it to feed his own ego or whatever, because that's the impression I was getting. So
I don't think so.
and then
I
w- and then we get to the dumbest part of the episode.
well,
Um,
that's been gone.
like gypsies just appeared out of nowhere, like
Oh, right, yeah.
where's she come from, and that she somehow ended up on Earth too with the gorillas, and she's the one who's going to open the portal so Grodd can invade. Grodd looked great in his armor with his helmet. It would have been better if he had the kind of mind control helmet on or something like that. Like maybe they embellish his helmet or something, but he looked pretty cool in his armor. So yeah, Gypsy's apparently going to open a portal and let them all through to attack Earth 1. Um, it's like, dude, come on. I mean, what it should have done is it should have showed, it should have done a bit of build up in the episode she was in, where she like disappears into the portal and she reappears in Gorilla City and she gets grabbed. Have that at the end of the episode, and then like just forget about it for the next one, and then have where she shows up in the end in this one, so it actually makes sense, as opposed to her randomly turning up. It's like, what's that about? She's going to open a portal so all the monkeys can kind of invade Earth 1, but for like what purpose? What's the point? There's really not. It's not like she's under duress because she could escape. I mean, the fact that she's standing there next to Grodd, she could open a portal and dip off there and
Well,
then.
could Grodd not be mind controlling her?
I really don't know what's going on. Yeah, well, if in that case, why couldn't he have mind controlled Cisco and got him to open a portal?
Because, plot shenanigans. I don't know why.
I mean, you can't have one without t'other. So yeah, for me, seeing that, I was just like, because I wonder why at the start of the episode they showed a lot of her. They were like previously on the Flash, and they had like all the things with her. So I was thinking, oh, is she gonna pop up in the episode? Then I kind of forgot about her because she weren't mentioned or anything in the whole episode. Then right at the end, she's like there with Grodd. I was thinking, oh, come on now, come on, be serious.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a real, but it was a solid episode. The CGI was sick. Grodd was sick. Solovar was pretty good. The fight is like
I mean, look,
it.
I'm with you as lame, but I think it's the best it can be. They ain't got a big budget. I guess they just tried to shoot around it.
It was kind of poorly written, but it was still like a good episode. You know what I mean? In terms of like the
Yeah.
screenplay was really poorly written because they were like, right, what can we do with this fight? And then it's like, oh, our hands are tied. It's like, well, in that case, don't do a fight, do
Right.
something else. And then
That
it's
was
like,
weak. That was weak. The Barry playing dead thing was weak. We're meant to believe that Grodd is this super genius dude. Not only does he fall for it, he just conveniently drags Barry's body out and just leaves it there and walks off. So
yeah, it's just like leave him in the cell. He's dead,
yeah,
whatever.
if
You
it
know
doesn't
what
matter,
I mean?
leave him. Yeah.
Um,
I did like the Planet of the Apes reference. That was funny.
yeah.
With Tom Felton was in
Yeah,
Rise.
why he did that? He looked like the guy you ever seen Tarzan,
Which one?
the cartoon one.
Yes.
Yeah, he looked like Jane's dad. He was wearing like the same clothes as him. It's just like, why would you randomly just have like really old English expedition gear? I mean, he'd have to have that in his house. It's like, why would you have that in your house?
I don't know.
Why would you? And then he walks around the street wearing it, and then you've got like him with Killer Frost like at the end, like haggling a date out of her, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm bad news," and it's like, "Yeah, he's gonna die now." You know what I mean? We know he's gonna die, but she's basically telling him, and that it's like, "Yo, back off, because you're probably gonna end up dead." In a few words, and he's still rolling about the streets wearing this outfit, except he's ditched the hat, but he's still wearing the clothes. It's like, why wouldn't you just go home and the first thing you do is like change? Why would you just prowl around the streets wearing it?
Although, to be honest, if you could get away with that, would
Yeah,
you?
it was jokes when
Well,
Harry calls him like Indiana. He's saying hello to everyone, and it's like, all right, Snow, all right, Indiana. That was a good one. It's like, didn't even look like Indiana Jones. He looked like Jane's dad from Tarzan. It's
Yeah,
like,
but
why
I
wouldn't
don't
it?
think as many people are going to get that reference.
Uh, well, that's what I thought straight away. So, um, yeah, I think like the fight, the kind of big set pieces really let it down because it kind of it got really hyped up, but then it's like really stupid resolution. So it's just like, you know what I mean. But for when kind of going into it, I was thinking this kind of has the premise to be like one of the best episodes ever, let alone of the season, but one of the best episodes ever. But like I think it did it let itself down on the big pieces. Like it
Mhm.
came to just such an abrupt end, and like really kind of uh, infantile kind of screenwriting. Like, okay, we're gonna have him fight. What? So we're gonna act like it's that much of a struggle for like 5 minutes, and then literally they're gonna finish with like one hit, and then the Solovar's knocked out, and it weren't even one hit. He vibrated his hand, he bumped into it. He's like, ugh, and then knocked out. It's like, what the hell? So yeah, I mean that whether they're like trying to save their resources because it's going to be a big next episode. Maybe next episode is going to be the best episode ever.
I think they are because
Th-
we spoke in the past about
They just
um, if
probably
they ever do the City of the Apes thing, how many apes are we going to see? And it
mhm,
was barely any. You know, for a city of apes, it seemed pretty empty, didn't it?
yeah.
So I guess they are trying to save their money. We'll see
Yeah,
next week.
that's what I'm thinking. They probably thought, right, we'll do that, we'll do that. It kind of make it a fairly interesting episode, like a strong episode. But really, we're gonna blow the bank on the next episode. So that's what I'm hoping. It's probably gonna happen at night, so they don't have to spend as much money, because then like the CG apes don't have to be rendered that well because it'll be dark, so you just see the outlines. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's any other points?
I think it was fun to have Harrison Wells back, or this version.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I like HD's fun, but I do think
HG,
what's his name?
HR.
HR. I'm thinking of HD Wells.
Yeah, that's what I
HR
mean.
HR is fun, but I do think this version of Harrison Wells fits better with the team, even though they kind of have Julian sort of filling his role this season. But I do think he will die.
It was good this episode.
He was, yeah. Um,
Strong again because it was a bit weak last week. He was strong the first episode. He was part of the team. We're talking like team dynamic. He was strong. Then the next episode he kind of weakened up a bit, but this episode he was back to being really strong again,
we'll have to
which
see.
pleased me.
We'll have to see. We've got an episode to go, but we'll have to see how this Jesse thing will play out. But I don't think they need another speedster. They've got two already. They don't need three on the damn team. That's just too many.
They had a little Bloodhaven reference in there as well, because Julian was like, I told Captain Singh we're at a conference in Bloodhaven. So I like that reference.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pleasing reference. So let's
I think yeah, numbers.
Yeah, too many speeds to spoil the broth. They'll have to send people away.
Well, there is talk of maybe this is all rumours. There's no like actual concrete thing, but there is talk of maybe one of them will join Legends of Tomorrow or something.
Jesse Quick.
No, maybe.
She's a good character. Go
Well,
on then.
Let's say I will say I'm gonna go 7.5. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I
just-
mean. But there were bits that let it. It could have been like probably the kind of. These are the kind of episode. There's only like certain episodes a season. Generally, it's like where they bring in like a big character, and it's like has the pretense to be like the best episode of the season. Now, generally, the Grodd episodes are like big episodes. So like when you bring in like a character like that, Grodd's like A-list. You know what I mean? So like I was hoping it was going to be in that, but it kind of it let itself down in parts in really big ways, and that like whoever wrote the kind of fight scene like
Yeah.
really just effed it up.
And again, I don't want to give them too much leeway. I agree with you, but again, their hands are tied by the budget that they have.
Yeah.
Grodd, we'll see next week, and I do want Grodd to still be on part of the show, but I don't think Grodd is ever a character you can really do on TV well unless you have like a Game of Thrones level of budget. So we're going to have to wait for a movie to do Grodd, which I don't see happening either, or cartoons to get the full effect, or comic books, obviously.
I think they could have. They really could have, if they wrote it differently, they could have made it really like small and stuff like that. You could have had it like you've got Solovar and Grodd. Grodd's trying to throw over Solovar, so you can have them bring Barry and the team in, and Solovar's like, "Look, I'm working on something. I need your help. If you help me, I'll let Harrison Wells go." So they're helping him, and then Grodd like comes in and he convinces them that Solovar's trying to like he's building whatever so he can invade Earth One. So he's like, "Yo, betray Solovar, make him look weak, and then I'll take over lead of Gorilla City and you'll all be safe." They could have just done that. They could have just had the two gorillas walking around the city and stuff like
Maybe, yeah,
that.
but
Really,
part of the problem is, like you were saying earlier, with the flipping between them speaking and the actual people, is they ain't even got the money to have the two gorillas in the show for that all that often, so you can't.
yeah, but if you cut the massive like arena scene out and stuff like that, then you could have done something like that.
But then you got an episode devoid of any action. Admittedly, the action weren't very good in this one, but still,
Yeah, but
the
it's got
flashes of action show. You know what I mean? It's a catch-22. Like it's a fun character, go for it, but your arms are still tired.
Yeah, but think this episode's a build up for next episode where like the big action's going to be because they're actually invading. So I mean,
Okay.
this one, the fact that Gorilla Grodd was in it alone, if it was done well, then it would have been fine anyway. They still could have pulled it off. You know, there didn't have to be like an arena scene in there because it was crap anyway. I'd rather have a kind of above average episode than have like this episode with like the massive like f ups, and especially that Gypsy thing at the end. So I mean, it had literally all the ingredients to be a great episode, but they've made some really like silly like errors and stuff like that. Like the resolve of that fight was just like real bad, and then this Gypsy thing as well. It's like how they're gonna explain that. They can't explain it. They really can't. They can't say mind control because like why wouldn't they have just done that to Cisco? And can you really have
Well,
like
he did. That's the thing. He did do it to Cisco, didn't he? He was already talking through Cisco.
yeah, but he like why didn't he make it? Why didn't he make him use his powers then? If he makes her use the powers, then like why wouldn't they have just done it with Cisco? And you can't have her do it willfully, like all of a sudden she decides, right, I'm gonna do this for God and that, because she kind of had a connection with the team, you know what I mean? It's not like they left on bad terms or anything like that and she's vengeful. So I mean, how are they really gonna do that?
I don't know. We'll have to wait till next week for the payoff.
Yeah, so I'll give it, what did you give it?
7.5, I think.
Yeah, probably give it that as well. Maybe 7 because it had some good ideas, but really, like whoever wrote that episode, just like that's like Arrow writing, you know. That kind of writing for that episode is how like Arrow's written for like every episode, and it's like yo, like too big for you. But whoever wrote that got too ambitious and that, and really like they built all the hype, and then like the letdown was just like massive. So yeah, um, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I'm Sam,
I'm not.
and this has been the Superhero Hub.